My, my name's Norris Street, and I'm with carwashforsale.net. And I'm with Shel Spivey and his lovely wife, Marcia. And they happen to own a car wash or a chain of car washes called Happy Bays. Now, Shel, how did you guys get involved in the car wash business? Because you didn't have experience when you first got in.
Norris, I was previously in the banking business, and I've told this story a good number of times through the years. But after I left banking, we decided we wanted to get into some kind of business that we could both enjoy, and we looked at the oil and lube business, and actually went to the AOCA convention that was held in Albuquerque. I believe that was in 1999, and we met a couple there, Ron and Sally George, that have car washes in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And he said, you know, really, the oil and lube business has been good to us, but you might look at the self-service car wash industry. He said, if I was going to get into something right now, I believe I'd sure take a look at it. So the next month, the ICA convention was in Nashville. So we just loaded up our motorhome and we took off for Nashville, not knowing really that much about the industry. But we wanted to go and look at some of the car wash equipment and some of the various vendors and manufacturers. And we did that, and obviously we were overwhelmed by all the different equipment and different vendors that supply the car wash industry. And so we absorbed that for about 3 days, and during that time there was one particular booth, I believe it was PDQ booth. It was all designed around a 50s kind of theme that year, and people were just flocking to that booth. And on the way, it's kind of coincidental, on the way to the trade show, we talked about, you know, designing a car wash kind of around a 50s look. And I asked one of the people at the PDQ booth, yeah, if there was a car wash that was kind of designed with neon and kind of described what we had visioned in our mind about billboards and things like that. And the guy says, you know, really, I don't think there is a car wash like you're describing it. He said, I've seen some car washes with neon and some kind of themed car washes, but what you're talking about I don't think exists. So we just left Nashville, and we basically took a tour around the country from the East Coast to the West Coast, looking at car washes and talking to car wash owners and operators. And you know, we looked at old diners and thought maybe we could incorporate that theme. And we also looked at these old kind of movie theaters that dotted small town America, that so many of them are closed now, with the mega theaters that exist. And that's kind of what we decided on. And we, you know, one thing that we determined in a hurry, that the people in the car wash business, especially when they knew you were from another state and you weren't going to be a competitor, they would just do anything they could. And you know, I had one guy just basically tell me all these financial information, and but it was a great experience. I always heard about how nice car wash people are, and they really are. It's an exceptional business to be in. But after we returned, we sat down with an architect and basically came up to the Happy Bays look that we have today.
So what were the challenges when you first got into the business?
Gosh, you know, not knowing a whole lot about it, you know, we were told by so many people when we made this due diligence tour around the country that location is just critical. I mean, you can make a mistake and maybe not get the best equipment or what's right for you, and you might not make mistakes, and you may make a mistake or two in the building and the construction. But if you make a mistake on that location, it's kind of unforgivable. I mean, if you just have a bad site, then the best you're probably ever going to get is just mediocre performance out of the wash. So that was the biggest challenge. And just like today, is that most of those really great locations are very expensive. When we started this back in 2000, you could find some pretty good spots for well under, you know, $300,000-400,000, and now you go out and look for those same spots today, and they're $600,000-700,000 or even higher. So you know, the critical thing was the biggest challenge was to find the right location, And fortunately, our first site was a good location.
Now, with the prices escalating so much since 2000 to today, can you still make a profit at buying a location at $700,000?
Well, yeah, you can still make a profit. It's more challenged today because there's more competition out there. And the thing about it, when you spend that kind of money for a lot, you've got to throw up some pretty good numbers. And if there's no margin for error, you better be right. If you just if you spend $300,000 or $250 for a lot, and it's not as good as you thought, then I'm just not making as much money as what I would have liked to have made. If you spend $700,000 for a lot and you're not correct, then it can be catastrophic.
Now, Marcia, you've been very quiet.
I've been quiet.
You're a quiet person.
Sometimes, yes.
But what's your involvement?
My background is I'm a CPA, and we've been in this together. I know the construction part of it. I know the mechanics of the car wash, deal with a lot of the parts, and of course deal with the numbers. My involvement's every day, supervising people.
Telling me what to do. One thing that I've experienced is that Marcia's, because of her, I guess, her CPA background, she's very analytical, and that's very helpful when you're diagnosing a problem with equipment or whatever. And most of all of our equipment is we purchase from a manufacturer, Jim Coleman in Houston, and they have a good support line that you can call, and periodically I'll call them, and after they've explained something the third time to me and it hadn't soaked in, they'll say, "Is Marcia there?" So she really knows more about this equipment and how everything operates than I do.